My Facebook page, of course, is slow to reload. I'm gonna try to get on my phone and do it.
Yeah, I usually do it on the phone too. And for some reason, oh, there it is. Okay, we're live. All right, so let me go back to the screen. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. I am Carmen and we have Shannon. Welcome to our weekly Tuesday talks. And we're all celebrating Women's History Month. We have the pleasure to having Liz Solis. She's going to be talking about her wonderful and not so wonderful adjustments from the pandemic teachers edition. Because tell us, Liz, a little bit about yourself and your teaching, and we'll get started.
Make sure my volume's up. Okay, so basically, oh my gosh, I'm going to date myself now, but back in 1994, I graduated from U of H main campus, and I wanted to be the next anchor on television, and that was actually my dream. And I ended up getting married right after college, and within the first couple of months, I was pregnant. So my dream of becoming a news anchor back then kind of went downhill because now I'm having to think about a baby. And I saw that there was a huge need for bilingual teachers. So I decided to apply, and I ended up going from 1 year out of college right back to University of St. Thomas, and then pursued my teaching certificate for pre-K to sixth grade, early childhood education. And within that first year, before I even finished my certificates, I was in the classroom, kind of thrown in. And I can remember just going right into it. And I did see that it was probably the best decision for me at that time. And I taught for 9 years straight. And then I kind of hit a plateau. So I left for 8 years, and that's when my daughters were also the same age that I was teaching. And so it just made sense because I didn't ever realize that teaching was going to be so difficult. And when you have children of your own that you're trying to raise, it just made a lot of sense. So I left, and then I started missing it and decided to come back when my youngest daughter was a senior in high school. And then I have been back now for 6 years. So total, it's 15 years, and always teaching the younger years. So I've taught 9 years of kindergarten, and then I've done 2 years in first grade. Then I jumped to third grade for 2 years, and now I am currently teaching second grade. And the last 2 years have been during this lovely pandemic. My oldest daughter is 25, and she is a teacher as well. And my youngest daughter just graduated from college in December and was accepted to U of H's College Bauer Business School to do her master's degree. And she's also getting married this year in October. So it has been a whirlwind between helping her plan and then helping my daughter and her helping me, my teacher daughter, because neither one of us studied or ever thought that we would be teaching virtual and face-to-face simultaneously at this, just learning how to do everything online and trying to manage this crazy last year. So we've just kind of been support system for each other. At the end of the day, it's like, oh my God, what happened today? And tell me your story, I'll tell you mine. Because honestly, if you are not an elementary school teacher, people just really don't understand. And Carmen and I have a lot of friends, mutual friends, and none of them that I know are school teachers. And so it's so hard.
Yeah, Yeah.
They don't get it. They'll meet after school, like, for dinner. And I'm like, I can't go. I'm still here doing lesson plans, or, I can't go have a little cocktail because I have to be 200% on my toes every day, or I can't make phone calls or answer emails or anything. I basically get 20 minutes for lunch at my desk, and that's it.
I think that's
And,
us, huh,
you know,
Shannon?
What's that?
I think that's more than us, right? 20 minutes?
I
oh
think,
my
yeah,
God,
I think maybe, yeah.
Lord forbid if I have to use the restroom, because you have to get somebody to stand at the door and watch your class, and you're in between two classes. It is incredible.
And
Just,
you have students in the classroom and students virtually, right?
yes.
That you're
Now,
teaching.
a lot of districts chose teachers that will do one or the other. I am in Pasadena Independent School District, and we were not given a choice. It was, if your co-partner or your other teachers are going to be doing this, you all are going to do this together. So, and what's crazy with me is I'm one of the few teachers that has still a lot of children virtual who have basically not wanted to come back. Whereas a lot of teachers throughout the year, have had a lot of their virtual kids come back. I'm sitting at half and half. And so I can't really let go of either group because I feel like I'm failing them. And even then, I still feel like I'm not being 100% to the ones here. I'm not being to the, 100% for the ones at home. And then I get parents that are constantly, oh, we couldn't log on. We're having internet problems, or, I don't feel this, they're learning, and I don't know how to help them because I'm in a weird situation. I teach dual language. And so basically it's children whose parents have made a conscious decision for them to be in a program where they're learning Spanish. And it's 80-20, 80% Spanish, 20% English. And I don't teach them English. They switch. So along with my class, I also get another class at the end of the day, virtual and also face-to-face. And for that 20% of the day, I teach them English because my homeroom class is not supposed to know that I know how to speak English. I'm not allowed to translate. And so for children that are, of Anglo descent, that don't have anybody at home to teach them, and are sitting at home, the parents are frustrated. I can't help my child. And I literally cannot fit them into my schedule at all, any much more than I am already to help them. So it's been crazy.
Well, let me just say, as the mother of an HISD student, I have deep respect for everything that you're doing, and trust me that you are making more of a difference than you know. The fact that you care and are so invested. And I'm very fortunate. My son's teachers have all been, he's in high school, but they've all been extraordinary. But he's hybrid now. So I, and of course, before it was even hybrid, I was hearing the virtual, and I don't know firsthand because I'm not a teacher, but as a parent, I've seen a little window into all that you all have to do, and just greatly appreciate. I mean, it just makes such a difference, and we are very grateful to our teachers, because and like you said, you had no warning. I mean, none of us did, but you were trained to teach, virtual and online at the same, virtual and in person at the same time. And it's just this constant adaptation, and you're dealing with little tiny people who they don't know, they shouldn't have to be dealing with this. I wonder if you might talk a little bit about how how you see this, the pandemic, and the length of it, the it just keeps going, how you see that impacting the children, because yours are so young.
Well, I'm very worried, to be honest with you. I'm very worried about the majority of the class. I'm already seeing just from last year, because we did close in March. And so from March until the end of May, all those TEKs that were supposed to be taught were not taught. It ended up being more of a review from the first 3/4 of the year. And so they started then second grade. And this is, everybody, dual, regular ed.
Right.
We are seeing huge gaps, and the school did not, or our district did not allow us to go back to reteach those teachers that were
missing.
not taught. And now I'm seeing extreme gaps. I honestly have never had a class this low. And I'm fortunate that my low kids are here with me, and that the ones at home can pretty much handle everything that's being taught virtually and some of the gaps. But they're behind. They're very behind, and not just 1 or 2 levels. And so I feel guilty because we are going to have to place some of these children. And when I say place, they're either promoted when they know everything, or they're placed if they're failing, 1 or 2 subjects. And I really feel bad for one, even though he's here. He's probably going to have to fail because I have literally tried everything, and you just can't be enough for everyone. And where we normally would have little small groups, which I still try to do, and I am doing, but it's not as extensive as it used to be. And so I am so scared of the first graders that will come to me next year, because we're already seeing the gaps, huge gaps, reading and math. And there's no time to catch up. And I feel like the TEA, which is the Texas Educational Association, has not stopped. They are still going through with STAR. And even though they're saying it's not going to count, they're still going to put the kids through that, and map testing. And I feel like we are not given enough time, granted everything that's going on, to really dig down deep and teach what we need to teach. It is just go forward, go forward, go forward, push, push, push. And I really feel like everyone is going to be behind. I probably have 2 children out of my classes that really, really get it. Other than that, it's all remedial work that I've been having to deal with.
Yeah. And then there's the whole, mental and emotional well-being, both for the students and for the teachers. That is also nonstop, and to my mind is equally worrisome as the academic. I mean, the academic part is huge, of course, but then we have, what is this, because like you say, there has been no time to stop. And so, you almost don't have time to process emotionally, physically, what's happening. And then all these little people who, like we said, shouldn't have to, but they're stuck in this world where they can't play with friends and they can't wear masks. Some of them wear masks, some don't at that age, I realize, but the world turned upside down for them and for you.
It's true. And we are a district that we do require the children to wear masks all day long, all day, except for when they eat lunch,
right,
or eat snack. And, some of them are here at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they're not picked up till 3:30. And so, if you're uncomfortable wearing a mask for an hour, now these are 7-year-old kids that are having to wear it all day long.
Right.
And it's sad. I can see the sadness in their eyes behind that mask. And I have had, children break down. They can't, I've got 2 that are asthmatic, and bless their heart. I try to fit in recess, at least 20 minutes a day. But if it's raining outside, there's nothing I can do. There's not a place we can go. And I try to take breaks. We try to do, some Just Dance videos to try to get them to move around. And at the same time, you have to keep reminding them social distance,
of course,
like a broken record. And, they don't understand. They want to be with their friends. They want, they want to be close to each other. They want to get close to me. And I don't know if you can see this, but I have a plastic, you may not be able to see it. It's a plastic shower curtain. And, you know, there's this barrier between me and them. And I'm very affectionate. And it hurts me to have to say back off constantly.
Right.
And, you know, oh my gosh, I have cleaning products everywhere. Every corner has Lysol. And that's, you know, that's stuff that I had to buy. The school didn't give us much of anything.
Right.
So it's been a very expensive year on top of that.
Sure.
And it's just crazy. And I will say that it has affected me very much so. I had COVID in July, had it really bad. From the COVID, because I don't know if you've heard about the long haulers. I developed an autoimmune disease this year. So when we came back from Thanksgiving, I was in so much pain and didn't understand why. I ended up getting an autoimmune disease. I never had issues with that before. Could not feel basically it was pain, just pain. Couldn't even open my mouth to eat. I figured I would go to a neurologist after going to the dentist 3 times, going to a family doctor another 2 times, doing a teledoc, probably 6 different doctors in all. And then finally went to a neurologist, and I'm on pain meds now, but it's something I developed, and it was probably triggered by stress is what they're saying.
Yeah.
So it's been very hard to deal with. I know we had a couple of teachers quit at the beginning of the year, just literally just quit.
It's just too much. Yeah.
Too much, way too much. I can't tell you how my team has been literally so important to me this year. We have cried together. We have laughed together, but more cry, I think, than laugh. We are at the laughing point now, but
Good afternoon, extended day students.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. This is the real world. This is what happens. For those of you just joining us, we're lucky to have Liz Solis with us, literally in her classroom.
Yeah.
And sometimes school announcements have to happen over the recorder. So no worries about that at all. Yeah, I mean, you do reach a point where you kind of start to laugh. Like you can either cry or you can laugh. And at a certain point, it becomes so absurd, I think. And I think we also laugh out of weariness, and we laugh out of nervousness, and we, those sorts of things. But I think you struck on something really important, which is that you have a support system. I mean, built in through your team at school. We talk a lot at NAMI about having a place to belong, and we certainly hope that NAMI will always be that for people who are looking for a place to belong. And that sort of, even though you can't hug each other, but knowing those people are there, and certainly in your case, seeing them every day, I'm so glad that you have that and that people are so supportive in your school, knowing that you're all in this together.
Liz, you mentioned earlier, how your daughter and yourself now together have been your support, with each other, and her being just last year was her first year teaching, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So share with us some tips for other viewers watching as far as what you recognize, specifically, when you say support, what ways did you guys support each other, and how is she doing now, and how are you guys kind of looking forward at the next school year? What changes could happen?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, my oldest daughter is a school teacher as well, teaching kindergarten in the same district, different schools, but in the same district. And we have literally just learned together. We have a lot of professional development, way too much for me to really, that I think, but our school, I think, finally did recognize that many teachers were completely stressed out beyond limits. And so we have gone through some of the professional development together. We play it, and it was for different things that we could do to relieve some of that stress. And at the end of the day, we make sure to have dinner together and we talk, literally talk about our day. You know, how was it for you? And so she has been my support system because she totally understands. She is in it with me. We're both going through the same thing. We both had to learn over the summer so many different platforms to be able to reach, you know, the children. And then also, you know, she'll ask me, you know, what do you think about this parent? She reached out to me about this and that, you know, what is the best way to talk to them? And she's at a school which is a lot less, you know, lower income. She, so her clientele, as the way I put it, is a lot different. She literally does have some children that actually live in trailers, and last year she had a child that was homeless, you know, that she was having to teach. And when the school shut down, they were living out of a motel. And I remember going with her to deliver food, literally deliver food because they didn't have any. And so that is going extra and beyond. But sometimes, you know, we signed up for that. And so if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But um, yeah, we've been each other's support system. And still, you know, even though things supposedly got better, she's in the same situation that I am. Who better to talk to than someone who's doing it right along with you? And then exercise for me. I had gotten back into the gym again, and that literally has saved my life. I find somewhere that I can release it because you can carry it and get to the point where you're just drowning. You feel like you're drowning. Um, and yeah, the gym for me, even if it's only 3 days a week, trying to get out there has been phenomenal for me. Just to be able to get out and release that stress. I also joined groups for the disease that I now have, and that has been a lifesaver. Another Facebook group was COVID survivors, and that literally I would just go to bed and read, and also reply back and say, hey, I'm going through the same thing you are. Let me give you some advice. This is what I've been doing. These are the medicines that I'm now taking. And then also telling my team, I'm not embarrassed to say I take anxiety medicine. Big deal. It helps me deal. I'm not so crazy and on the edge anymore. And my daughter as well. I mean, I know she's only 25, but I said, you know what? If you need it, you need it. Why go through so many years of agony, you know, and not get the help that you need? I think people put a stigma on things like medicine, and it's there for a reason. So, you know, I'm happier. I feel myself balanced. I don't feel any different than I am, but it does balance me, and it's such a great feeling. I love it.
And
That's
Shannon, I mean, I've been friends with Liz, I mean, for a very long time. And seeing her, you know, I mean, we're Facebook friends, and kind of seeing her struggles. And we have some of the same mutual friends, but Liz's personality is very bubbly and very outgoing. And I remember when I think you posted that you had COVID, and everybody's like, "Oh my God!" And this was like, you know, in the beginning stages. But talk about how you internally had to adjust, like people viewing you that may not know you, but we knew you, as far as like this positive, happy, you're like the cheerleader individual, and then you had to really adjust with those own struggles that you were dealing with. And it probably caught you back on like, how do I adjust with just engaging with my friends and engaging with everyone around me?
Yeah, I did that for a reason. A lot of people choose to keep everything to themselves, and I found that that is not a great way to deal. Um, and I'll be very personal here. I had a brother who died 15 years ago in February 3rd. He was never married, didn't have children, and he struggled. He struggled a lot with um, different issues. And I remember when he died, It was so hard for me to deal with. And we still don't know if he committed suicide. I think that's what it is. Um, and so that was so hard for me to deal because he didn't reach out to anyone. No one knew how much he was struggling. And so I thought, I don't ever want to see anybody get to that point, and I don't want to get to that point either. And so, um, dealing with that, I'm very open. I'm probably one of the most open people that you could ever meet. And so, me publicizing that is probably not something a lot of people would do, but I did it because I thought if I can help one person, if I can reach one person that maybe has feelings of angst or is going through it and is afraid to reach out because there's such a, oh my gosh, they got COVID. And I had family members that after that, like they didn't want to like come near us. They didn't want to come over. They didn't want to anything. They were just, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. But I did that on purpose, and then also put the Facebook group that I was chatting with, because I wanted people to have somewhere to go, someone to talk to, and that's why I did it. Um, but it was hard. It was hard because people were like, "Oh my gosh, well, where did you get it? And what about your family?" And I will say, all my family got it at that time. It spread like that quick. I mean, within like a week, all of the members of my family had it. My mom came to check on me, even though I told her not to, and then she had it within a couple of days. And so, yes, there was a lot of family that were like, well, it's obviously because you guys are out and about. You should be. Everyone always has a strong opinion, but you've got to do what you've got to do,
Yeah.
especially if you feel like it's going to help somebody.
Well, and I would say also that you sharing what you just did about your brother goes in that category as well, because it makes so much of a difference, and that's certainly something we work for every day in NAMI, is to get rid of that stigma. But it's not just about getting rid of the stigma; it's hearing that this is something happen. You're not alone in this. This is something that happens to people, and we do not know other people's stories. And so when people share their stories, that can literally be life changing for people. So I really appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. My brother was born in 1972, and back then there wasn't labels, there wasn't ADHD, there wasn't, nobody had heard of attention deficit disorder, or, I mean, it was very, and so with that, I'll say that Hispanic parents, and this is what I struggle with in class, if you tell a father who is of Hispanic descent, maybe first generation, they don't understand. And so they basically want to shake it out of their children, thinking that it's going to go away. And I feel like at that time, my brother did have ADHD growing up. I can remember all the times just, oh my gosh, it was so hard for him to learn because he couldn't keep still. But back then, there wasn't labels. They didn't get, they didn't know how to handle it. And so he struggled all his life, even as an adult. And so being in school now, I feel like it's my goal. It's something that when I get a child that shows symptoms of anything like that, um, rather than have that child get passed through, I will be that teacher that takes the time to document and talk to the parents to make sure that they're getting all the help that they need, even
Yeah.
if they don't want to accept the help, because they're going to hear this all throughout. But there's a lot of teachers, I hate to say, that don't want to take the time to do the big load of documentation that it takes for them to finally get a diagnosis. And even then, you can't really tell the parents that you think this or that. You can just say, in my experience, I have had children in my class very similar to the characteristics that your child has, and it is affecting their grades, or if it's not too much now, it will. And I've gotten really good at that. I really think that if I were to change jobs, it would be to become a diagnostician. And my daughter is really good at it too, because she gets a lot of children that also, I'll tell her, this is what you got to do. You've got to start, trying this, trying that, and document it. Because what happens is those children get pushed through, and because the teacher doesn't want to take the time to, it's a lot of work, you guys. Okay, sorry, the lights went out. When I don't, hold on. Oh my gosh, y'all are really seeing what it's like in here. I gotta step out, and there we go.
There you go.
Goodness gracious. But yes, I think, when I'm speaking to a parent that is of Hispanic descent, I really make sure to talk to the mom and the dad, because I feel like the mothers will hide that information from the fathers because they don't want that child labeled or diagnosed. And it's such, oh my gosh, it's so bad for the child. But I've even had where parents think they can beat it out of their kids. And that's so sad, because you can't beat it out of the child. That's, oh my gosh.
And even if you could, that's still not that.
No, that's not right. Oh my gosh. But yes.
Sorry, speaking of parents, we did receive a question for you.
Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't see.
No, you don't have to. That's why we're here. What advice would you give to new teachers or to less experienced teachers on how to handle challenging parents, difficult parents, whether it be, something like you're just talking about in terms of behavior and mental health, or learning abilities, or, the trials and tribulations of COVID, or, there are so many things even without COVID that you have to learn how to navigate in terms of dealing with parents. And I say this as a parent, so what advice would you give to some newer teachers?
And that's very hard, because that honestly comes with experience. But what I've always done is make sure to stick to the facts. And it helps, like as I was mentioning, if you have a lot of documentation, that's where you are going to basically, and it's not like a win-win situation, win or lose. It's just have some clarity. I always write down, have a journal or a log where if you've tried to reach a parent, you need to keep a parent log of how many ways, whether it be phone. We have to have an app where we communicate with the parents so they don't have your personal phone, because if not, it would be constantly ringing. Sure. And we at our school have a 24-hour like little window where we can get back to them. And that's good, because first of all, you never want to talk to a parent when you're emotional. Give yourself that 24 hours to calm down, because it will make the world of difference. But also keep a log. You need to make sure that you have everything documented and print things out, because if you can then go back to the parent and say, well, I sent you a message and here it is. And believe it or not, a lot of teachers feel like if they contact administration, it's going to make them look weak, like you can't handle it yourself. And that's the biggest mistake. I had some really challenging babies last year. I'll just put it that way. And I had my counselor come in and sit in on conferences with me, just so that the parents could not turn it around and say I said something that I didn't. And so I would always have a witness. And I know that sounds so crazy, because you're just talking about children, but no, it is really the best thing to do. And if the counselor isn't available, grab one of your teacher partners and have them also sit with you. And believe it or not, when the parents hear the behaviors from another teacher that is not their own,
Right.
it just sinks in a little more. And if you have, I mean, 'cause they don't just stay with you 24 hours. If you have a PE teacher, a music teacher that is also seeing the same personalities, then you also want to say, hey, and by the way, you know, so and so was, this teacher is also seeing the same thing. So always have like a backup system, and that really has worked well for me. And my counselor, and I don't know if, well, the only bad thing about that is you will be that teacher that knows how to talk to the parents. So I almost feel like they purposely put children that need to be identified in my classroom. That happens to me every year. I'm like, this is really strange. Why do I seem to always get the children that
Because
need to
they
be
know you can
identified?
handle it, right?
Yes, and that's the truth. Yes,
Yeah.
I think that is, that's fine. But you know what? At the end of the day, if that means me helping them for future, then that's okay. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what we're here for anyway. I mean, whether it be that parent or I can't tell you how many times I had to go out of my way this year for parents that actually were going through COVID and needed somebody to reach out to. And I let them go ahead and tell me everything and just saying, you know what, I'm here, I care, I'm not just here for the student, but I'm here for you as well. So it's not always a challenging child, it could be challenging in a different way, not just that parent that's blaring at you for this or that. But I always try to find out why, like what's the reason. Right now we don't know if it's financial,
Right.
we don't know if they're out of a job. It could be a lot of reasons. And to be honest with you, I have students that come in and they just tell me everything. Oh my gosh. I had one that just says, can I have your phone number? I want to go home with you. And it just breaks my heart. But she'll come in crying because there's so much turmoil at home. And you just have to be that teacher that cares enough to listen. I don't give an opinion. It's just, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry that's happening to you. Do you need a hug or a virtual hug or a heart or, and just be that person and listen, just listen. Of course, if it gets to be to the point where you're scared that child is going home to a situation that may not be safe, then I would reach out to the counselor and have that counselor talk to the child and the parent. I've been teaching for 15 years. I've only had to call CPS twice.
Oh, thank goodness.
Thank goodness. But I always involve, like I said, my school counselor, and I will see if other teachers are seeing the same behavior. But it's just always being there to listen more than anything, not so much give your opinion. But yes, those parents, oh my gosh, you get them every year, but you just smile and
part of the gig, right?
Part of the gig, yeah. Unfortunately, I am lucky that I guess I'm very calm in nature, and so I tend to be able to get through it. Not that I don't get upset because I have cried, but I am very calming. So you just kind of have to listen and write everything down, document.
That's great.
Carmen, did you?
Yeah. Is there anything that surprised you going virtual with kids? Like something that they, while you were teaching virtually, anything that just surprised you with your students, or just that you were like, oh wow, I never thought XYZ?
Well, seeing their home, oh my goodness. And wow. Some wow factors is not only are you seeing their home, but seeing how loud. And sometimes the parents would forget that they're, not on mute and hearing them, not always in a good way, yelling. And that would scare me. I thought, wow, that's crazy that they're having to go through that, or being so loud and not taking into consideration that their child is trying to learn on the computer. And then opposite, where You see the parent on the side hiding, doing this business and giving them the answers. I'm like, no, ma'am. No, you're not helping. No. Yes.
You're
So
not
it's
in this class.
yes. So good and bad. And then little brother and sister that want to get in on the Zoom and, oh my goodness, I've seen it all. But then there are some that are just, they are doing so well with the virtual format. I have one little girl that, I think she might be slightly autistic. And so in person, she
Oh,
gets bullied a lot, but virtually she is on and she gets excited and she starts shaking and
isn't
I'm
that
just like, oh my
interesting?
gosh, goodness, but she's doing well. She does good virtually. Another child too that is so beyond bright, gifted, he is on the gifted and talented program and is just doing wonderful, but it's not for everybody.
Right.
And I do see the other ones that are also struggling. So it's been very hard. It's hard to assess the children that are at home because you don't know if they're being helped by a big brother or is mom doing the work for them. It's really hard. So I feel like the ones that are here, I can see the progression or lack thereof, but the ones that are at home, it's just really hard to know, are they really doing the assignments on their own?
Right.
So
What do you think next year is, I'm asking this as much as a parent as a co-host of this visit. What do you think next year is going to be like in terms of, if God willing we're able to be fully back in the classroom? Like you say, the gaps are there. And there's no way that
no.
everybody's going to be caught up and ready to pick up right where, how do you see that evolving? Because it will then, of course, affect the rest of their elementary career or middle school or high school.
I know for sure, as far as our district is concerned, we will not have virtual next year. It's already been talked about in the principals meetings, and they have already kind of leaked it to us to let us know that that will not be one of the ways that the children will learn. It will be all face to face. And we have been encouraged to try to get all the children back this year even. We do have a teacher that has managed to get all of her students back. I have not been pushy. I'm like, you have your own reasons. I'm not going to be that teacher that's going to force your children to come back to school. So, but next year, what I'm going to be seeing is that it's going to be even harder for us. We're already doing what's called laser. We have children that are on our intervention list, and we take an hour a day where we're just working with those children one-on-one. I can only have 3 at the table in the back. I have plexiglass there, but it is constant, small group, small group. My day consists of small group interventions. We meet every Wednesday morning just to talk about those children and talk about what's working, what's not working. And I literally have to fill out forms as to what I work with them on every day. And we every 3 to 4 weeks we meet again and again. I do have one child at this point where I feel that they may have dyslexia. So they're going to be tested. I already talked to mom, but we're going to have to basically sit down and figure out, is it the gap or does this child need to be tested?
Right.
At this point, you can't really say that in kinder because they're going to say lack of educational opportunities. And
Right.
then in first grade, you're still kind of, not sure, but by the time they get to second grade, yeah, definitely. You have to figure out as a teacher that they either need to be tested in one form or another, or do they have a learning disability? Is it dyslexia, or does this child need to fail? Failing usually happens during first grade, but because of the pandemic, those children that were already being looked at were pushed forward. And so I'm thinking we're going to have really, really low kids next year. They'll probably start out in intervention and extended day. Literally our third and fourth graders already started extended day after school 2-day Today was the first day of extended day.
Wow.
So I'm thinking that's not going to be far for the second graders to start that as well. And that's hard. You're looking at the end of the day and then you've got another hour that you have to give. Um, it, it's difficult, but I do see a very, very hard year next year. Um, Having to go through all the gaps and fill it in, but it has been difficult. We're small group every day, not just in reading, but in math as well.
Yeah, I'm
So Liz,
sure.
Oh,
outside of you decompressing with the gym, which I've heard that lately by a lot of people, that's like their stress reliever, some type of physical activity. Um, what else do you do to unwind as far as you had your daughter as your support group, your teachers as your support group, you guys leaned on each other. But let's talk about your family and friends and the importance that you have connected with them and how they have helped you manage this whole year since the pandemic started.
family is super important. I have one sister, and my mom and dad are, they've been married 52 years, and we all live within the same area. So, literally, like, just picking up that phone and calling my mom and telling her, oh my gosh, I'm really having a bad day, and just having that, just being able to talk to her and letting her know what's going on. But we have continued to still celebrate birthdays and still get together and try to continue on. Still doing celebrations as much as possible because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I have had a lot of people, not just elderly, but mama of 40 years old with children die having COVID after a week. Another cousin just mid 40s and didn't make it, got on a ventilator, and that was it, never left the hospital. It's been very close to home. So with that, you don't know. So I don't, we do. We get together, and I don't know if people say that that's bad or not bad. Both my parents have had the vaccine. I personally have had the second vaccine, and I'm going on. I'm going on with life. I'm celebrating life. My best friend, one of my best friends, recently celebrated his birthday, and he said, "Let's go to Miami." And I said, "You know what? Let's go." So I did. We went. We went a couple of weeks ago. I took 2 personal days and not feeling bad about taking personal days. Those are there for a reason. Two personal days. We went down there for 4 days. It was the best time I have had in forever. It was so needed because I had not been anywhere probably in over 2 years. Just had not traveled anywhere, not even like Austin or anything, but just having to push forward and just live your life. Not where you're not being careful because we would still wear our masks and everything, but you've got to keep going. I just don't think, hiding behind the mask and staying in your house is is the way. You have to reach out to your friends. Um, I'm very lucky. I've had a group of friends, Carmen knows, for many years now, 15 plus years. And no matter what has happened in our lives, we still have house or get togethers, little get togethers. And it's so nice. And we don't have to talk every day. We don't have to reach out to each other on the phone or text or even on Facebook or, all the different forms of the platforms, the social platforms. We just, hey, we're going to get together at so and so's house. Whoever wants to come, whoever feels comfortable enough, we pick a theme. You bring food, you bring this and bring that, and whoever shows up, shows up. And that has been absolutely life saving. It has been wonderful. And I hope we continue to do that because that has really helped me deal.
So now that your daughter's getting married, what is that preparation for you? And her Shannon, her daughters are just as beautiful as Liz. They're just, and I see just remember just watching them grow, and just now they're becoming their own, their own young woman. So I know you're going to be very hands-on. That's exciting.
Yes,
It's
and
exciting adventure for them.
it's been so crazy because, I'm trying to let them plan and not trying to be the momzilla. I definitely don't want to be momzilla and put forth all of my ideas, but I'm really lucky that my daughter and I are so close and we have the same uh, ideas. So I have basically just been buying things online, and I I have an extra room in my house where I've just been putting everything in. And of course, I reach out to her and say, "Hey, what do you think of this?" Because I'm very crafty. You had asked me earlier how I basically let go, and I'm very crafty and I love to cook. So I'm always trying out new recipes. I like to make things. My room twice, well, 2 years in a row, we didn't do it this year. I have won the door decorating contest, or if it was something in the room where we had to decorate for this or that, I won it pretty much every year.
You go all
And
out. Like Liz will start posting on Facebook like materials. Like she'll start weeks in advance that decoration. So we're all looking like, well, what's
what's
gonna
it gonna
happen?
be?
What is it gonna be? So
Yes,
yeah,
I'm super crafty.
it's
And I decorate. That's
your
another thing.
relaxation, even though you're working and decorating, but it's your way of relaxing your mind.
Yes, that's my outlet. So I literally decorate my house for every like occasion. I already have all my Easter stuff up. So there's bunnies and you name it. And a lot of the stuff I make myself. Um, so that's my outlet. I don't have a boyfriend. I don't have a husband. I don't have a significant other. I have no one, so I, that's my outlet. I decorate and I like to make things. And now that my daughter's having the wedding, oh my gosh, that is like, oh, I'm like, I ordered this, I ordered that. And she's all, 100% on. We actually went and we tried on dresses, and she picked one. And then 2 weeks later, we went and I mean, it's not until October, but I already have my dress. And so, yes, that has been my way of just getting away from COVID, the classroom, and just focusing on something completely different that I absolutely love to do.
Well, I think that is really helpful for people to hear and to be given permission to feel joy. I think in this time when there is so much grief and hurt and fear, that you don't need to feel guilty if you feel happy about something. It also strikes me that you're a very hopeful person, and that a lot of what you're able to create and do comes out of a sense of hope. And I really respect that about you. And I will say it's infectious in a good way. Carmen has known you for a long time. I've just met you for the first time today, but I can definitely feel that from you. And I really appreciate that. We so appreciate you taking this time, adding yet another hour to your day, to talk with us and to our community here. We're all very grateful for that. So thank you for saying yes.
You're very welcome. And I love Carmen. I've known her for many years, and I know she's gone through some battles. And she's seen me with my battles because I'm very public about my personal battles in life. But, here I am. I'm still here. I feel like God still has me here for a reason. And so I need to make sure that that reason is positive and, reach out to others when possible. Not just here in the classroom, but just in general. You have to be positive. There has to be hope. I do feel like you have to have hope. Yeah, you've got to have something to look forward to.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who has joined us today. Pamela is saying thank you for sharing all of this, and she loves your positive energy, and we certainly second that. So thank you everyone who joined us, and we wish you a safe and hopeful rest of the day and the week. All right, take care, everyone.
Thank you, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Liz. Thank you, guys.